Hey, things are not what you think.
Yeah, there's always something you don't know.
Welcome to Joey's Real Talk.
老外大声说。
To today's Real Talk conversation. Yesterday was the September 28th here in Taiwan. It's understood as the Teacher's Day. It's the birthday of Confucius, one of the greatest teacher Asia has to offer in the last almost 3,000 years or 2,500 years. He was born, I think, 500 or 470 something BC. And we still celebrate some of his doctrines and his teachings. So today, let's talk about, being a teacher. But we celebrate Teacher's Day with like a Confucius ceremony at the Confucius Temple every year. How do other parts of the world celebrate Teacher's Day? Do you know?
Well, after extensive research, there's a couple of, there's the standard stuff. So students will give their teachers flowers or gifts or, candy. In North America, they give apples.
Why apples?
Apples healthier.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. They last longer.
It's like a symbol, though, but I don't think anybody actually does it.
Yeah, when you've
it's
seen
on
textbooks,
cartoons,
when they draw the classroom, there's always an apple on the teacher's desk to signify that they're a good teacher.
And isn't it weird when you learn English? Because I learn English as a second language. It's always A is always for apple. There's got to be like some kind of conspiracy there. I'm just saying.
They're trying to.
It's a
the
go-to
teachers
fruit.
are just like, do you want to give me some apples? They put it at the beginning of the alphabet.
They're brainwashing you.
That might be it. So usually apple is the first thing you learn because it's the first letter in the alphabet.
Sure.
So we give the teachers an apple to thank them for teaching us about apples.
Right. Well, in other countries,
That's a stretch.
moving on. In other countries, I read online that in India they celebrate Teachers' Day on September 5th, and they celebrate by getting the senior students, like the older students in the school, to teach the younger students.
Oh.
So I guess
Give the teachers a day off.
Exactly. It's a bit of a break, and it also teaches the older students how difficult it is to teach younger students, So that's a way of showing appreciation.
So they know what they put their poor teachers through.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of shut up and be quiet.
Yeah. And,
Sit down.
Yeah. And then in Sao Tome and Principe, what they do is they set up sporting matches, football matches between teams of teachers and teachers or teams of teachers and students, and then they have sports days.
Sounds like a lot of butt kicking if it's teachers against students.
Work out the aggression,
Well,
right?
what if
The
they're
one time they
university
can
students?
legally hit their students, attack their students.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, teachers used to, spank their kids quite a lot here in Taiwan. I remember when I was in grade school, I used to get spanked a lot. My teacher prides herself in being able to use the whip just to the right bounce where it gets maximum effect. And
You gotta
really,
flick it.
you gotta, that's what,
flick it
she was
back.
so proud of it. She's like, no, stand at the end of the stick so I can get the best swing.
Oh my gosh.
This one, isn't
They're not allowed to do that anymore, thank goodness.
They're not.
You guys have all been teachers at some point, right? Philip, you've taught, why that face?
Just memories.
Not good ones, I'm guessing, judging by the face.
Yeah, it was not my favorite year. I was a teacher at Hess. Should I say there? Oops.
That's fine, whatever.
Teacher at Hess, yeah. School teacher.
Way to say it again, by the way.
It's like the gateway school, I suppose, to Taiwan.
What level, grade level did you teach?
I taught kindergarten all the way up to kids who were just going into junior high school, so like 12 years old.
Which did you find to be the hardest?
The 12-year-old girls.
Really?
Oh my God. They were like... They're too cool for school and all that stuff, you know what I mean? And there's nothing you could do that would interest them in the class, no matter what. And then anything you say, they roll their eyes, and I was like,
Wow.
just their eyes rolling, and it's like, keep rolling them, maybe you'll find something back there.
I hope you said that to them.
Pretty cool.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
I felt like I should.
we do have two ladies here. Did you guys perfect your eye rolling at about that age?
I never rolled my eyes at the
I would never roll my eyes at a teacher. I was a nerd. I was like teacher's pet.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
me
didn't do the
too.
rebellion thing until later on.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've only taught up to 12-year-olds or for boys?
We did
you
a
teach-
few. I did a few classes with people who were prepping for university, kind of.
Okay.
They were good. I mean, they knew what they wanted. They were there for a reason.
Yeah.
It was fine with teaching them.
Okay, so that level where they hit puberty is probably the worst.
I mean, that was where it was.
Group 2.
That was where it was the hardest to handle them because I mean, you can yell at them and they just don't care.
Yeah, right.
When they're young, they're a lot louder, which was a lot more stressful for me because I like it being orderly. But they were like loud, and you just yell at them and they'll stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it works. But there was a lot more, like I said, a lot more stress for me because I just can't stand all that noise and energy running around the room.
Yeah.
And I can't see what every single one of them is doing at that time and know what's going on.
It really exhausts you
emotionally,
to hear all that.
it's so exhausting. Like I would get home at the end of the day and I was just bagged. Didn't want to go to the gym or anything.
Well, there you go. Nancy, what about you? What did you teach?
I also taught English at it's not a cram school, but it's one of those schools where students go after like class. And then I also taught them
After school?
after class. All right, shush. And then that's how I taught. Okay, and then I also taught from like very little beginners, grade 1 to up to grade 6, right before junior high. And again, the junior high kids or almost junior high kids are the scary ones. I find it really easy to teach the little kids, the younger ones, because their needs are so simple, you know. And if you provide enough structure for them, then
Or
they're
fun.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to redirect their energy for me.
You're better with the kids.
I think so.
Okay. What about you, Erica? You taught as a tutor, right?
I was a private English tutor here in Taiwan. Also, for a short while, I was a teacher's aide at also a cram school in Taiwan,
Right.
where there was like little tiny monsters flying everywhere.
Running around.
And I find it difficult to teach children. I'd rather teach adults because again, like they know what they want. They're here to actually learn.
True,
So
true.
there's
Yeah.
progress, and you don't have to worry about like keeping their attention. But kids, when I was at that cram school, like they weren't bad, but also I was afraid to. I can't really be mean, and they kind of caught on to that. So
Yeah.
they like took advantage of me.
Yes.
So they were still sweet. Like they'd call me like 漂亮姐姐 or whatever. But then they would just run around, and you
had no control.
It was so hard.
I found my evil side as a teacher.
Oh,
Definitely.
Like when I was teaching the little kids, thank you. When I was teaching little kids, the teacher before me, she gave me a tip, and then she said, don't smile for the first week. Just keep your face expressionless, no matter what they do, and then they can't tell what you're thinking, and then they don't know if you're mad or if you're not mad, and they're trying to figure you out. And then after that, gradually you can start smiling a little bit, and then kind of lay it on in layers until they realize you're actually nice. But then by then, you know, it's instilled in them that they have to listen to you.
That's the trick.
I wish I knew this. I just flew off
The first day,
the handle.
hi,
I
my
just-
name's Philip.
No,
And
I
they're
was like
target him.
Yeah, I was like, I was friendly when they were being good, but if they were like, my fuse was just like hair trigger, like I would just blow off. Like it was insane.
Did you contemplate or reflect on your personality after blowing up a few times?
I just thought, man, those kids annoy me. The thing is, I agree. It's good teaching adults because you don't have to worry about like the daycare aspect of it. Like you're just focusing on the teaching part. But when you're teaching any of these younger kids, it's like maybe 40% teaching and 60% daycare.
Right.
And I mean, I am not there to be their father or
Yes.
daycare, whatever. If I'm there to teach, I just want to teach English.
And it also, I think teachers, especially when you're in grade school and kindergarten, it also, how you teach them will affect how they grow up to be, because they're developing their personality and stuff. And that really scares me. Like, I'm afraid to have children because I'm afraid I'm going to instill bad habits in them and maybe raise like a monster.
Thanks, guys.
So
This is very inspirational for me. It's
Yeah.
good. It's good.
Raising your baby is not going to be an easy thing. Oh, I think Nancy is a pretty good teacher. Just
think
judging
so.
by the way, she carries herself.
Thank you.
But yes, there are tiny little monsters that could really drive you crazy sometimes. Have you? I used to work with a teacher who's so militant with her class that they really like the way they, walk out of the classroom. They're always in a straight line, and she never smiles. You're right. And then when she even gets a little bit angry, the kids get really frightened. Have any of you ever made your kids cry though?
Yes.
Yes.
Almost
How?
almost
But how?
intentional. There's
To
this
put them in their place, right?
this one class was known for being really hard to handle. So the teacher who was the class's main teacher was the main foreign teacher at the school because she had the most experience and the most respect from the students and everything because she was the most terrifying. And so she went off and she gave me her class when she went off on vacation or whatever.
Oh dear.
And I was like, oh my god. And it was a science class. We had to do like experiments and stuff. And the first one was, I don't remember what it was, but I had a hot plate and there was, something hot. And the most
Annoying. You're about to say annoying,
the most energetic child was, of course, sitting right next to it, and he tried to touch it or whatever. And so I yelled at him because I wanted him to not burn himself.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to show them that I'm not there to be their friend. I'm not playing around. And he cried because I yelled very loud. I mean, well, I'm not proud that I made him cry, but then he didn't burn himself, so that's good.
Yeah.
And then the whole class, they listened for the rest of the class, and I didn't need to blow up at them again.
All right, there you go. I mean, a lot of people say that teachers are supposed to inspire their students, but you can't imagine how tough that is to do after the whole, having principals in the classrooms and having to teach your curriculums and then to inspire these kids. And so it's not easy being a teacher.
There's just so much to think about because you also have
Philip
to.
has a lot to say.
I do. I really do.
Do you want to name a couple of these kids that cause you so much distress?
Because you have to think about, you go in there in the class, especially when you don't know any of them, and you can't just lay one blanket teaching style across the whole class because you need to know every kid. So it's hard to address all their issues all at the same time. Like some kids need it fast, some kids need to go slower, and I don't know. It's a lot of work, and I can't believe how people who can do this and enjoy it
For years and years.
for years and years. I really respect them.
Well, I think, the advantage of being a substitute teacher is that you do it, or you have them for a day or two, and then you're gone. So you can afford a little more leeway. Don't be so hard on yourself that you didn't have, perfect
but
control.
that teacher might come back and be like, what happened to all the principles, all the rules I laid down for the class? You just messed it up.
No. Once that teacher comes back, all the kids will automatically revert to their old system. And they know because,
yeah, right.
it's that teacher.
Yeah. Or like Philip said, you got to approach every student differently. They all have their own problems. You have to resolve each and every one in a different fashion. And that's what Confucius was known for. He approached every one of his students in a different way. That's why we celebrate Teacher's Day on his birthday, not so much because of his, some would say, outdated doctrines, but because of the way he taught. And
certainly influential.
Well, yeah, certainly.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that when we come back in just a little bit. If you have any experiences teaching, please do share with us on our Facebook Live. We'll take a short break here on the Midday Show.
Alright， 所以听起来我们的 Philip 呢，可能受到这个学生的荼毒很深。
Trauma, emotional trauma, maybe some physical trauma.
这些都是比较年轻的吗？还是就是你刚刚讲11、12岁的那种？
The ones that made me the most angry and tired was the younger ones.
Okay.
你可以示范一下 how you yell at him.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the hot plate, and I'm like, hey. So it's just an emotional outburst.
Yeah, it's just true raw emotion. But the thing is, I also cool down really fast. If they stop yelling, then I could, seconds later, be laughing and talking with them.
Okay. Yeah. Isn't that a little bipolar?
I'd be like, what's wrong with this teacher?
No, but it wasn't immediately. I wasn't yelling and then laughing the next moment. But once they stopped, I'd calm down.
And then
if there was a reason to laugh, I would laugh. I wouldn't just start laughing uncontrollably
But the thing with yelling is that you do it once and they get used to it, and then you have to keep
get louder.
escalating
You have to keep
every
getting louder
time
and louder and louder. Yeah. No, it wasn't. I'm not saying that it was the best method. I mean,
you didn't enjoy it.
I didn't enjoy it. And I mean, there's definitely better ways to handle the students, but I wasn't experienced enough to be that, detailed in my instruction. I was just trying to hang on to my sanity more than anything.
All right. Have you ever exploded at some kids and then just not feel proud of yourself? I mean, and we know you have. What about you too?
I have, but it's in a more, because I'm not intimidating. This is not something that instills fear in children.
I'm lucky that I seemed intimidating.
Right, so I don't have that advantage, so I have to work in a different way, and I have to do it through like taking away privileges or through time. So when they had the break, I made students stay in, and then I would stay in with them, and it's like a waiting game. I can outweigh wait the students. But then when they're stuck in there and break, the little ones, and then their friends are out there eating candy and running around, then they get upset, and somebody cried. I did feel bad, but it was a perfect way to go in and be like, okay, now do you understand why you had to stay in? I don't like it either, but this is what happened. And then we had that talk, and it was okay. So yeah.
All right. I've made my students cry. These are twin sisters, and they're evil. Like the slightly little one, she always pretends to be so.
Teacher?
No, of course. Well, this is a long time ago. They're probably like 19. 20 now, probably into like first year of college or second. So the little one's always innocent, and the older one is always like the loud kind of plays the buffoon in the class, and those two make the worst team because when I turn around, I never know which one to scold at. I know it's the 姐姐通常都是比较大声, but I know 妹妹 did something as well. So when I punish them, I usually punish them together.
Which is bad.
And then because you're not punishing them by the crime, and they would both cry in the classroom, and one of them is gonna cry a little bit more because she probably feels like she was right this time.
And then you can tell who actually
Was it like a classroom with a bunch of
With a whole bunch of kids, yeah.
And they were like twins?
They're twins.
Oh, I'm surprised that they kept them in the same room.
Oh,
'Cause I
they did.
remember it before.
My
like,
kindergarten
mostly-
had
you had-
I had twins in my class.
Oh, they would try to separate.
Yeah, they
Twins
usually
just
separate like
becomes too
sisters and
confusing.
brothers,
I
so
could
that you
tell
don't
because
team
one
up.
of the-
Yeah.
One of the
Well, they
freckle
teamed
with
up,
the
all
other
right. I was kind of proud that I made them cry. But they still love me. It's a love and hate relationship.
Out of all the students, most of them were kind of like either neutral or liked me for the most part. A couple were like they really liked me, and there was two that would rather I died. but but there was this one girl. Her name was Cherry. I mean, I think she had a lot of problems at home, and she was misunderstood in that way, and so she was super energetic all the time, and like she would do drawings, and they were kind of dark and scary, but like it made me really like her because she was so cute, and she was super sweet. She would come the first day I met her. She came. I was sitting in a class watching the other teacher because I didn't know how to do it yet, and she came flying across the classroom and landed in my lap.
So let's turn it up a notch. ICRT.
Okay, welcome back to the Midday Show as we are today talking about teaching. We haven't really talked about learning. Now, this is the day after Taiwan's Teacher's Day. Once again, it's Confucius's birthday, or yesterday was. Today on the show, we have Nancy, who's been a school teacher, or English cram school teacher. Philip, who's also played the same role, and Erica Liu, who's been a private investigator. Private tutor.
Investigator, that is cool.
What's the oldest age you've taught?
About around 40.
Okay. Probably a lot easier at that
It
age.
is much
was
easier.
at 40 something.
And their English is better. Like, you don't have to start from like...
Scratch.
Yeah. They have...
No, her English was good.
That was it. What?
was not convincing.
Sounded like you guys had more to say. Okay, now let's explore the differences between the East and the West. In terms of teaching, I think the glaring difference is, of course, we used to beat our children here in the East, and in the West,
That happened in the
illegal.
West,
Yeah,
but that was like
a long time
50s
ago.
or 60s.
Okay, what are some of the major differences in terms of teaching, or maybe even just a classroom setting? That you can think of.
Okay, I only had like half a year of elementary school in Taiwan, but generally I feel like in the West there's a lot more like group work, and there's emphasis on like sitting in a circle or moving around the classroom. And then when I was in elementary school here in Taiwan, it was like the desks were all separated, they were in a row, you didn't really interact with your peers,
Military.
and it was just like you and the teacher.
Yeah, when I asked Jane Lee, our news reporter, this question, she said, because she studied what is it? A master's degree abroad in the States or something. And Seattle, right. So she said the biggest difference was that she's not used to giving her opinion on things here in Asia. And when she was asked to do that in the West, she couldn't think of things to say. She never had her own opinion about what the teachers talked about.
And then in the West, if you don't give your opinion and you don't participate, it's like taken as an indication that you're not
participating.
Normally, like they give you extra credit if you raise your hand and you participate.
Or it's not necessarily extra. It's actually just part of the grade.
Yeah,
right. 5%
but they'll be like, you get the golden coin if you raise your hand. You know, we have to collect the coins, and every month.
Well, I was talking about university. We don't get golden coins in university, but yes.
Okay,
yes,
yeah. Like you can exchange it for like pens or something at the end of the month. That was so much fun.
We got that too. We took get bonus points.
Yeah, things like that.
If you guys have anything to share, please do share with us on Facebook. I'm keeping an eye on your Facebook comments as well, and I got an interesting one. Let's share that in just a little bit. I don't think we have fully explored this part of the topics yet.
Oh boy.
Do you ever get classmates who just won't stop talking though, because either they're going for that golden coin or they just always have a lot to say? I remember my first TKO, Theory of Knowledge, or TOK, Theory of Knowledge class. There are students who just wouldn't shut up, and I sometimes I wish that we could go back to the Eastern setting where you just listen, because I want to hear from the teacher, not from the students. No,
or you want to hear from all the students, not just one.
Not right, exactly. You want an actual discussion.
Yeah.
Do you have any memorable teachers? Someone that you think truly changed your life or your
Does it have to be in a good way?
It could be in a bad way. Okay, for example, my science teacher in grade 10, the first class we had, he said, if I can't get you to become interested in science in this semester, then I have failed. But trust me, I'm going to try. And I thought, Mr. Mast, his name was, he's a big guy like Phil, and he played football, and he's always really cool. And he's always passionate about what he's talking about, so you become passionate about what he's saying. Do you guys have some teachers like that?
Go ahead.
I had a history teacher in middle school. His name was Mr. Imai. We call him Imai because he was okay. Anyways, not important. Anyways, he taught history like a story.
Okay.
And U.S. history. So because of him, I love history. And that's pretty much it. That's my story.
So who is the 30th president of the United States of America?
Oh, shoot. I forgot all my U.S. history. I haven't been in the U.S. in a long time.
But she has good memories of it and a positive feeling towards it.
Okay.
That's a good
Mr.
thing.
Imai, thank you for teaching Erica. You guys didn't have anyone like that?
I had a French teacher in junior high school who was very nice. He was very nice, but he was a former pro wrestler. So he's huge, like Philip. And then I just threw that in there. And he's still a really nice guy, and he would get dressed up for the holidays, and his costumes would always involve some form of leotard or tights.
Oh, cute.
And he's huge. So Valentine's Day, he dressed up as Cupid with pink tights. St. Patrick's Day, it was green tights, and so on and so forth.
So he's showing off a little bit.
It was less about his teaching and more about his tights.
Yes.
I don't remember a lick of French.
I also had a really crazy French teacher in high school. And then
What is
he
a
was
French teacher?
I don't know. He was crazy, and he loved music, and he would always break dance in like the middle of class. And then it was very interesting. But again, I don't remember anything about French, but I remember everything about him.
There you go.
Mr. Teets.
So you two ladies, have you ever had a crush on a teacher?
Yes.
Not that one.
Oh, not the French
Tights
teacher.
was not doing it for me, no.
Okay, I see. Philip, memorable teacher in your...
In my university, there was one of my teachers for like Asian studies, mostly Japanese literature and things like that. Literature. And she was just, I don't know, just her personality. There's not really much of a story I could say about her, but I just would go to all of her classes and stuff, and I had this like non-sexual crush on her. Like she was just
platonic crush. Okay.
Yeah. So she was really cool. And then when I came to Taiwan, my first Chinese teacher was really, he got me to skip the second level basically. So it's all because of him, I guess, that I could speak Chinese.
Okay. And you speak it rather fluently, so I'd say thanks to your teacher for inspiring you.
谢谢徐老师.
徐老师. 徐老师. Okay. We have folks asking us questions on Facebook Live. Fumiko, who said, 有没有遇过变态老师?
This is kind of
how would you
hard to
translate?
share
Yeah. Have you ever
Teacher
met
who's-
teachers
Creepy
who?
teachers.
Yeah,
who
sure.
freak,
Yeah,
you
creepy.
know.
Right.
I had a teacher who taught what is that? The thing where you do woodworking and you work with tools. What is
that would be
called?
woodworking.
Yeah, I think that's just woodworking.
No, it's more than woodworking. It was. Oh, yes,
Wood
thank you,
shop.
Thank you. Anyway, there were rumors. There were a lot of rumors. I never had him. And then I got transferred temporarily to his class. And then I was only in his class for a week or so, and then I got transferred back to actually the French teacher's class as homeroom. And then he specifically called to the French teacher to ask if I would go back to his classroom and be in his homeroom. And then and it was such an odd thing to do. And then it was also very odd for the teacher to ask me in front of the whole class. So he asked me, and then everybody went, "Ooh," because there were a lot of rumors about that. Yeah, it was really weird. And then all my friends were in the French teacher's class, so I stayed in the French teacher's class. It was weird.
Okay, that's kind of creepy.
It is creepy.
Anything else? Did you guys ever had creepy teachers?
I feel like there were stories, and I feel like there probably was something, but I can't think of anything specific.
Erased it from your memory.
Yeah, probably trying to keep it.
My story is not creepy, but I want to go back to my science teacher, Mr. Mast. There was him, and then there was our math teacher, Ms. Rowley. Ms. Rowley was my high school crush, and those two started dating in my senior year.
You were heartbroken.
And I wasn't. I was like really happy that they were together. And anyway, this is just something that I wanted to share. And I don't know if they're married now, but I remember back in grade 12, I was like, man, I wish these two get married. They're so cool.
Well, we had. This isn't creepy, I guess, but we had one teacher. I can't remember his name for the life of me right now, but he was a biology teacher. And when he first came to the school just before I started, and he was, a bit younger and just got married, whatever. And he was apparently good shape. All the high school girls were like in love with him and stuff. And he was a really good biology teacher and everything. But then there was rumors that, he was a stripper to pay for. Not while he was a
teaching.
High school teacher,
Right,
but when
right.
he was going to school as a university student, that's who he paid for his tuition, and he never denied.
I feel like
He
this is
never
rumor.
denied the rumors, and then he got
didn't
up,
deny it?
and then he got up on stage for a talent show, and he had the moves.
Oh my goodness!
That's how expensive
everyone has a
university
past.
education is in North America. I'm just saying. Okay?
Well, Canada's
Yes.
not that bad compared to America.
A little extracurricular right there.
I have a story I want to share about a teacher in high school. His name was Mr. Z.
Why are we naming all these names of people?
I forgot his full name, but everyone called him Mr. Z, and he was really funny. Like not funny as in like humorous, but as in he treated every student like a disease, a germ. Like if someone would sneeze near him, he'd spray Lysol in the air, and he'd like, "Stay away from me! Drink 2 gallons of water." And he was so funny, and he like just really in his own world and like kind of grumpy, but everyone thought it was hilarious. So yeah, that was Mr. Z.
Memorable teachers. Another question here, this one from Ji Wei Hong says, have you ever had a teacher who, 他说, 有没有遇到过考试没到几分就会处罚老师? Here in Taiwan, this happens a lot. Your teacher or your parents ask for like, say, 90, all right? And if you get 85, then you get 5 whacks from the stick.
Oh God!
You guys never had that?
No.
Never had abuse.
You guys ever get beaten as a kid?
By my
by
papa.
parents?
Yeah.
Parents not beaten, but I got disciplined.
Okay.
Not
Oh, that's what they call it
That's
now.
what, yeah. Yeah, Yvonne and Leslie, our producer and our social media officer, they both had, me too.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
I mean, they used appropriate force.
As in no broken bones, I
No
guess.
broken bones.
No
So you
visible
guys would
marks.
say you were good students. You were behaved
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
when you were younger.
Wow, we got all the wrong people on the show today.
I had lunch with my
Bunch of
teacher
prude.
for like all of freshman year. Like I stayed in her classroom.
Oh my God,
during
you were a
lunchtime.
teacher's pet.
I
There was this
was.
one science teacher we had, though, and he was actually a student teacher, so he was an absolute pushover. And I was in early high school, and I remember if I got a question wrong, I would bring it up to him like, "Why is this wrong?" And then he'd mark it right for me.
I thought you were gonna say like he taught you what the mistake you made and
No,
showed you
I
the
just
right way
argue
to
with
do
him.
it.
I'm
Same
like,
age
this-
as you, like those kind of
No,
teachers.
he must have been like 30 something, but I would have
Oh.
been like, what, 14?
Oh,
And then I was like, no, this is right. And I would like argue with him, and he just gave me the points. I guess he just didn't want to argue.
Actually, that's happened to me. My Japanese.
I was probably wrong.
My Japanese teacher, Miss Wong, she did that for me as well. I was at I think
Doesn't sound like a Japanese
47. I was just gonna
That's
say, like
not
in
important,
retrospect,
people.
why is my Japanese teacher Miss Wong? But anyway, so
Well, she could have married Mr. Wong.
Oh, right.
You're right. I didn't. Yeah.
Not,
anyway,
not
that's
important, people.
Not important.
Like, why are we?
thanks
speaking-
to all
why
the
am I speaking
teachers who
English? Like,
passed
it's
us when we shouldn't have been passed in our career of learning. All right, this is our Facebook Live today, or this is our Real Talk today, and it's always on Facebook Live. If you guys want to catch each and every episode of Real Talk, and sometimes we might actually do just only web episodes, so we won't go on the air, so you wouldn't hear about it unless you follow us on Facebook. So please do that. Find us on Facebook. Type down ICRT FM 100. We like to get 100 of you to press like today so we can break the 148,000 mark. So do join us. Get all your friends, get all your teachers and students to like ICRT.
We named a lot of teachers today.
We did.
We did. And
Some
students.
things about them.
Some dislikes coming.
Cherry.
Might not be a
We
good
might get some
thing.
emails
down.
later tonight.
All right, ladies and gents, we actually have a request that's quite apt for today's conversation. Charlie Puth's attention seems like, that's what all the teachers
Demanding.
Yeah.
Seek.
And the students.
All right, Philip and Nancy and Erica, thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Hello, handsome and gorgeous. Thank you for watching our video. If you like more general shenanigans or artist interviews, please make sure you click to the next video, but also make sure you subscribe to us by pressing the bell button down here, because we like to tell you more about fun stuff coming up.